I'm going to be talking about the importance of space exploration mostly as a nation, because over the years it's died off, and it hasn't really resurfaced until just recently. So I'm going to start off asking you a question, and it's: have you ever thought of the world you stand on that holds everything you know and everything have ever known as nothing but a blue dot in the vast emptiness of space? It's things like this. It's the discoveries that we find in space that allow you to have this open-minded, way of thinking. And I think space exploration, as a frontier, allows you to see the world in a completely other sense, to the point where you feel insignificant, but at the same time special. And especially just recently, interest in space has finally taken hold since the time around the 80s when the Challenger exploded. This is evident in our media because not only does space exploration influence science itself, but it influences our form of entertainment. So just by looking at the movies that are popular now, you have examples like Gravity, Interstellar, and The Martian, and all of them have been seen as incredibly great movies. I've watched these movies countless times, I can. And I've researched space on my own, just as a hobby, for hours on end, just because I thought it was fun and just cool to look at. Space has finally become interesting again after a long period of decline, and it's crucial for us as a people to understand that space exploration is incredibly important, because by looking at other worlds, other examples beyond our own, we actually gain an understanding of our own, because we can relate to what's happening on those. So first, I will talk about the background of space exploration, the first wave of common interest among ordinary people. Second, I will go over how it shaped our entertainment and how it's reflected in media and everything like that. And lastly, I will show the recent importance it's had and the impact it's had in both science and entertainment fields. So, when I say take interest again, it's because there was once a great period of everyone looking at the stars, being completely ambitious as to venturing out there. And in the late 50s and early 60s, people saw space as a frontier, something that we have to conquer, because the time before that it was conquering the lands of the Americas and such, and this is the next step in human evolution. Advancements in technology have come from either war or space advancement, and space advancement is obviously better because it has conflicts between countries like the U.S. and USSR when they were competing to get to space and stuff like that. But it has a lot less drawbacks in the sense that people aren't fighting, trying to kill each other over stuff like this. An example would be Russia trying to get the first person into space, which they did. They got Yuri Gagarin into orbit in, I believe, 1959. And the U.S. saw this as a threat, so they had to advance the technology as well. And they started rushing to get the first man on the moon, which was done, I believe, on July 14th, 1969. The first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong. It was televised across the world, and not only was this a monumental moment for the United States, it was a monumental moment for people as well. So people see this as a way to look into the future. It's a way of seeing the future in the present. Because space exploration advances technology so quickly, in your lifetime you can see something that you could only have imagined is possible. It allowed for deeper thinking in people's minds, especially upon this era, for great minds like Carl Sagan, who was a renowned astrophysicist, and he talks about the pale blue dot we live on Earth in his book, The Pale Blue Dot. And here's a photo of the pale blue dot taken by Voyager. It was nearly 4 billion miles away, and that's one of the final shots Voyager took of Earth. And it shows you how insignificant that the planet is, but it also shows you the grand scheme of the entire universe itself. So the way of thinking that that space exploration is influence has seeped into our entertainment. It basically defines the sci-fi genre, and an article by Quentin Cooper from BBC titled "Why is Sci-Fi So Hard to Define?" published on July 30th, 2014. He wrote an article about a list of 100 movies that were the greatest movies of all time, and only a small handful, I'd say, I think it was around 4 or 5, had nothing to do with space. Everything else was just people relate space and sci-fi together. And sci-fi enthusiasm equals space enthusiasm. So anytime there's, people are becoming excited about something like, a new Star Wars movie or a new Star Trek movie, they take interest not only in that, but what goes behind that and what it's based on. So they look at science as as another step up to entertain themselves and actually educate themselves. So because of this, series like Star Trek and Star Wars have become so popular, and at the times that these movies become so popular, it's at the same time that there are great achievements in space exploration. So moving on to my next topic would be how these movies and stuff like that relate to the things that are going on. So, for example, the new Star Wars movie is taking place, and it's coming out recently. And just recently, we also had discoveries like water on Mars, and new pictures from Pluto and such. On the 20th of September, NASA published that there was water on Mars, and they showed pictures of Pluto at a different date. And I find that this is crucial to understanding our planet. And tension with Russia again has had us, focused on advancement. And in conclusion, I think that science and exploration should be viewed upon, and it should be known throughout people that this is important for us, not only in a form of entertainment, but as education.